My name is Maria, 29 years old, a wedding photographer from Boston. Snapping photos of joyful brides with their proud parents always stung, especially after my own quiet garden wedding last year. My parents dismissed it as a trivial event for someone at the bottom and skipped it for a Hawaii vacation with my sister. A week later, they called, not to celebrate, but to ask for a favor. That moment taught me a hard lesson about family boundaries and valuing myself. Tell me where you're watching from, and if standing up for yourself matters to you, hit subscribe. I grew up in a fancy Massachusetts neighborhood. Our two-story colonial, with its perfect lawn and white picket fence, looked like a magazine cover. But inside, a strict pecking order defined my life. My parents, Harold and Eleanor Wilson, a corporate lawyer and hospital administrator, cared most about status. My sister, Julia, 6 years older, was their golden child, flawless in their eyes. Then there was me, always the afterthought, never good enough. I knew my place early on. Julia's straight-A report cards earned a spot on the fridge for weeks. Mine? My mom would nod and say, "That's expected, not special." Julia's medical school acceptance sparked a lavish party. My fine arts honors graduation? They skipped it for a country club event. "Photography's just a hobby, Maria," my dad would scoff when I showed him my work. "It's not a real career. Pick something practical." Julia followed their script: pre-med, Ivy League medical school, top residency. Now 35, she's a surgeon, married to a doctor, with 2 perfect kids. They live near my parents, joining them for weekly Sunday dinners, the ideal family they always wanted. Photography grabbed my heart in high school. My art teacher, Mrs. Lawson, lent me an old Nikon for a project. Peering through that viewfinder, I felt alive. I could freeze moments, emotions, and stories in one shot. Hours in the darkroom, watching images emerge, felt like magic. When I said I wanted to study photography in college, my parents pushed back hard. "We're not paying for you to waste 4 years taking pictures," my dad declared. "Harold," my mom added, "maybe business with a photography minor. Something to fall back on." They talked like I wasn't even there. We struck a deal. I'd attend State University on a partial scholarship, double majoring in business and fine arts. They'd cover tuition if I kept a 3.5 GPA. I worked harder than ever, balancing both majors and weekend wedding gigs to build my portfolio. My roommate Olivia caught me editing photos at 3 a.m. after business homework. "Most people pick one thing to master," she said. "You're killing yourself to please them." She was spot on, but I still craved my parents' approval. That hope dimmed in my junior year when I won a big regional photography award. The local paper featured my work, and I sent the article to my parents, thinking they'd finally see my talent. My mom called. "I saw your little article," she said. "Nice. But did you see Julia's research in the New England Journal of Medicine?" We sent the link. I had seen it and sent Julia flowers to celebrate. But no one acknowledged my win, not even a good job text. After college, I took a marketing job to appease my parents while growing my photography business. For 3 years, I saved every cent, shared a cramped apartment with 2 roommates, and worked nonstop. When I had enough clients and savings to go full-time with photography, my dad called it career suicide. "You're tossing a stable income for a pipe dream," he said. "Don't come crying to us when you fail." I didn't fail. Over 7 years, I built a thriving wedding and portrait photography business, focusing on real, emotional moments, not stiff poses. My bookings filled a year ahead, and I hired 2 assistant photographers to keep up. I bought a small condo in the city, launched a stunning portfolio website, and won international photography awards. My parents? They never mentioned any of it. At family gatherings, my mom bragged about Julia but introduced me as my younger daughter, ignoring my career. I overheard her tell a friend I was still figuring things out, like I was a lost 20-year-old, not a successful business owner. Then, at a wedding shoot, I met Noah, the best man. He made the nervous groom laugh and helped an elderly guest walk. Later, he kept the kids entertained. I kept snapping extra photos of him, drawn to his warmth. As I packed up, he approached, and I felt nervous, a rare thing for me. "You're the one who sees everything," he said with a grin. "That's my job," I said, capturing moments others overlook. Noah grinned, handing me his number. "I noticed you too. Call me if you want to be in front of the lens for once." Noah was an elementary school teacher, and his passion for his work matched my love for photography. On our first date, he spoke about his fourth graders with such warmth and respect that I knew he was different. He believed in nurturing everyone's unique talents, not pushing them into rigid molds. My parents couldn't have been more different. When I introduced Noah to them 6 months later, my dad barely shook his hand. My mom kept mentioning how teachers earn so little. Driving home, Noah asked why they seemed to judge him right away. "It's not you," I told him. "They'd act like this unless you were a doctor, lawyer, or CEO. Their loss," he said softly. "They're missing out on an incredible daughter." That moment sealed it. I wanted a life with Noah. He saw me for me, not as a disappointment. In his eyes, I was never less than. I started keeping my parents at arm's length, short monthly calls, quick holiday visits. I stopped chasing their approval and poured my energy into a life with someone who truly supported me. Noah proposed one crisp autumn morning on a hike to our favorite waterfall. No grand gestures, just us, surrounded by New England's red and gold leaves. He knelt on the damp ground, holding a simple, beautiful ring, and asked me to share his life. It was perfect because it was real, like the moments I capture in my photos. "I'm just a teacher," he said as I cried happy tears. "But I'll always support your dreams like you support mine." "You're never just anything," I replied. "You're everything to me." We planned a small garden wedding with 70 guests, keeping it simple and meaningful. As a wedding photographer, I'd seen couples obsess over details and lose sight of what matters. Noah and I wanted intimacy, not extravagance. I found a lovely botanical garden venue at a fair price. We picked our favorite foods for catering, got flowers from a local shop, and had a friend, a pastry chef, make our cake as her gift. I called in favors from photographer friends who shot our day for less. Noah's sister, Laura, crafted our invitations, cream cards with pressed flowers to match our garden theme. We spent a weekend addressing them, laughing over wine as we went through our guest list. "You're only inviting 4 from your family?" Noah asked, noticing my smaller stack. "Aunt Karen, Uncle Jack, and my cousins," I said. "My parents and Julia's family too, but I doubt they'll show." "Invite them anyway," he urged gently. "Give them a chance to surprise you." I knew he was right, but I knew my parents too. Still, I hoped my wedding might be the day they'd finally accept my choices. I called friends and extended family first with our engagement news, saving my parents for last. My mom picked up on the 4th ring, distracted. "Maria, it's a bad time. We're heading to a fundraiser." "Just a sec, Mom." Noah proposed. "We're getting married in June." A pause, then a sigh. "Well, congratulations, I guess. Got a date?" "June 12th, I said, trying to sound excited despite her flat tone. "A small garden ceremony." "June's busy," she said. "Your dad's got a conference, Julia's at a medical symposium, and the grandkids have recitals. It's 6 months away, Mom. I'd love for you all to come." "We'll see," she said, already sounding checked out. "Send the details." I mailed formal invitations in January, 6 months out, as etiquette demands. I slipped a handwritten note in my parents' invite, saying how much their presence would mean. Weeks passed. No RSVP. By March, 3 months before the wedding, I decided to visit them in person. Their house hadn't changed in a year. The same formal living room where kids couldn't play. The same wall of Julia's achievements, with just one small photo of me from high school graduation. Mom served tea in the fancy guest china, a quiet jab at my outsider status. Dad sat in his usual leather chair, posture stiff as ever. "We got your invitation," Mom said after awkward weather talk. "But we have a conflict." "What conflict?" I asked. "The date's been set for months. Dad cleared his throat. Julia's family is visiting that weekend. Plans are made. Can't they visit another time? I pressed, voice steady despite the sting. It's my wedding. Dad's face hardened. Maria, let's be honest. Julia's a surgeon with big responsibilities. Her schedule can't shift for what's, frankly, a trivial event for someone in your, he paused, position. My position? I echoed, their words hitting like a slap. What your father means, my mom cut in smoothly, is Julia's career comes first. She saves lives, dear. And I just take pictures, I said, voice flat. Exactly, my dad nodded, oblivious to my sarcasm. Julia's built something real. She can't drop everything for this. This is my wedding, I said, voice cracking. I'm your daughter too. Of course, my mom said with a tight smile. But your little garden wedding isn't exactly a grand affair. Maybe if you'd picked a fancier venue or Noah had a better job. Like a doctor, my dad added pointlessly. It's best you don't bother us with this, my mom finished. We've got a hospital gala that month, and your dad's being honored for his pro bono work. Our schedule's packed. I sat there, teacup forgotten, their words sinking in like stones. My wedding was a nuisance to them, unworthy because I chose a life and partner they didn't respect. I understand, I said, setting the cup down, hands shaking. Thanks for being clear. You're too sensitive, my mom sighed. That's why we doubted you'd make it as a photographer, too emotional. I left their house with a new clarity. For 30 years, I'd chased their love, their approval. They'd never give it. I was their disappointment because I chose joy over status, my happiness over their version of success. In the car, I called Noah, tears falling as I told him everything. I'm your family now, he promised. My parents already adore you more than their own kids. He was right. Noah's parents, a retired librarian and science teacher, welcomed me warmly from day one. They asked about my photography, hung my work in their home, and never hinted Noah deserved better. I decided my wedding would go on without my parents or sister. I was done begging for approval from people who didn't value my happiness. June 12th dawned perfect, as if the universe knew I needed it. Sunlight danced through the garden trees, casting patterns on the white chairs lined up neatly. Blue and purple wildflowers, my favorites, framed the aisle and simple arch where Noah and I would say our vows. In the prep room, my friend Zoe, a makeup artist, worked on my face, keeping it natural as I liked. My dress was vintage lace, tea-length for easy movement. How are you feeling? Zoe asked, brushing blush on my cheeks. Mixed, I admitted. Thrilled to marry Noah, but sad about my parents. Angry I still care they're not here. It's normal, she said. Their loss. You look stunning. Noah's mom knocked, holding a velvet box. Something borrowed, she said warmly. My grandmother's pearl earrings. I wore them at my wedding. I teared up as she helped me put them on. This was how a mom should act on her kid's wedding day, present, loving. Thank you, Linda, I said, hugging her gently to save my makeup. This means everything. We're thrilled you're officially family, she replied. You've been ours since Noah brought you home. My Aunt Karen and Uncle Jack drove 6 hours to be there, stepping in where my parents wouldn't. Uncle Jack walked me down the aisle, steady and kind. Aunt Karen sat front row, where my mom should have been, glowing with joy for me. The ceremony was perfect. Noah's vows had everyone laughing and crying. Mine were quieter but just as heartfelt. When the officiant declared us husband and wife, our friends and chosen family cheered, filling the garden and my heart. At the reception, I saw guests snapping phone photos, despite my hired photographers. I usually hate this, it leads to bad shots and steals presents. But today, I didn't mind. These were people who loved us, capturing memories their way, not for clout but to cherish our day. As the night wound down, Noah found me alone at a table, soaking it all in. Happy? He asked, sitting beside me. Completely, I said honestly. But I keep checking my phone, hoping for a text, even just congrats. Noah took my hand. Let's make a pact. No more thinking about who wasn't here. We focus on who was and who'll be with us moving forward. He was right. I tucked my phone away and danced with our guests until the staff started tidying up. Later that night in our hotel room, curiosity got me. While Noah showered, I grabbed my phone. No texts from my parents or sister, just social media alerts. I clicked on my mom's profile, rarely checked now. My heart froze. She posted photos and videos all day, not of an empty house, but a Hawaiian beach. The first post, timestamped 3 days earlier, showed her grinning with my dad, sister, brother-in-law, and their kids in Maui. The caption? Perfect family vacation with the people who matter most. More photos followed on my wedding day: breakfast on an ocean view balcony, a pineapple plantation tour, dinner at a fancy beachfront spot where my dad toasted family priorities. They didn't just skip my wedding, they planned a family trip to exclude me. The Hawaii trip was booked months ago, meaning they never planned to come. I scrolled through their friends' comments: beautiful family. So happy. Perfect grandparents. Not one asked why they were in Hawaii during my wedding. Noah came out of the bathroom and found me crying, phone in hand. He sat beside me, saw the screen, and whispered, "Oh, Maria, I'm so sorry." They planned it, I choked out. A family vacation on my wedding day. It wasn't a conflict, it was a choice. Noah held me as I sobbed, my tears soaking his shirt on what should have been our happiest night. When I calmed down, I called my mom. It was afternoon in Hawaii, she answered on the third ring. "Maria, is something wrong?" she asked over laughter and waves. "I saw your Hawaii posts," I said bluntly. "You planned a vacation during my wedding." "We had prior commitments," she said smoothly. "Julia's schedule was tight, and the kids had activities. You could have told me it was Hawaii, not separate conflicts." "Would it have changed anything?" she replied. "We had more important obligations." More important. Her words stung like a verdict. I was less than a beach trip. "I need to go," she said. "Your dad's waiting for the luau. Hope your little ceremony went well." She hung up before I could speak. Noah took my phone, turned it off, and said firmly, "No more tonight. Tomorrow, we start our honeymoon, our life. They don't get to ruin this." He was right. I'd let their disapproval dim my joy for too long. Our Quebec honeymoon was magical, exploring, eating, capturing joy in photos and memories. For 2 weeks, I avoided social media and family calls, living fully with the man who chose me. Back home, reality hit. I had wedding photos to edit, clients to meet. Noah prepped for the school year. We were blending our lives in our new apartment. During an engagement shoot in the public garden, my phone buzzed nonstop. I checked after 7 missed calls from my dad, 3 voicemails. He never called like that. "Maria, call me now about the Madison property loan," the first voicemail said. An hour later, "This is serious. The bank sending notices. Call back." The third, just 20 minutes old, was frantic: "Payments haven't been made. They're threatening legal action. Call now." My stomach sank. 3 years ago, desperate for my dad's approval, I'd co-signed a loan for his sure-thing commercial property, the Madison building, meant to bring steady rental income. "It's just a formality," he'd said. "I'll handle everything, payments, paperwork. You won't worry." I signed, grateful for his rare inclusion. Noah, new in my life then, suggested getting it in writing, but I feared seeming distrustful would shut that door. Now, trouble was here. I packed my gear and called my dad from a park bench. Finally, he answered sharply. "Where were you? This is an emergency." "I was working, Dad," I said. "What's wrong with the Madison loan?" "The management company's incompetent," he snapped. "The building's half empty, and they didn't tell me. Rent's not covering payments." You've been making the payments, right? I asked, dreading the answer his frantic voicemails already hinted at. I was managing, my dad said, but the Hawaii trip and Julia's kids' school tuition we helped with caused some cash flow issues. I thought the management company was covering the loan with rent. How many payments did you miss? I asked, hiding my rising panic with a calm tone. 3, he admitted. The bank sent notices to the building, not our house. I only learned yesterday when they called. 3 missed payments. My name was on that loan. My carefully built credit score, crucial for my business, was likely already damaged. The bank could chase either of us for the full amount, and with his money troubles, I'd be the target. Send $40,000 to cover the payments and penalties, my dad ordered, using the same commanding tone from my childhood. Then we can talk about restructuring or selling the property. $40,000? I gasped. Dad, I don't have that lying around. I just paid for a wedding and honeymoon. Your business must have savings, he pushed. This is a family crisis, Maria. Your credit's on the line too. The irony hit hard. My wedding was trivial to them, but my money was family property in a pinch. I need time to think, I said, keeping my voice steady. I'll call tomorrow. This can't wait, he snapped. The bank's threatening foreclosure by week's end. Then it's already waited too long, I shot back. Tomorrow. I hung up and called Noah, our financial advisor, and a real estate lawyer friend. The truth was worse than I feared. The property had been mismanaged for a year. My dad missed 5 payments, not 3, the first 2 covered by a now empty reserve fund. The bank could demand immediate payment plus penalties. If we didn't pay, they'd foreclose and still come after both of us for any shortfall. My credit had already dropped nearly 100 points, threatening our mortgage and credit card rates. That night, Noah and I sat at our kitchen table, buried in documents. I can't believe he hid this, I said, rubbing my temples. Right after skipping our wedding for a luxury trip that caused his cash flow problems. It's no accident, Noah said. What do we do now? Our options sucked. I could drain my business savings to fix his mess, rewarding his carelessness. We could force a quick property sale, likely at a loss. Or let it foreclose, tanking my credit for years but maybe saving money long term. I need to know why this happened, I said. I want the full story before deciding. The next morning, I met our financial advisor again, asking the questions I should have asked 3 years ago. She helped me pull the Madison property's financial and occupancy records. The truth was ugly. The building was never fully rented. My dad's sure-thing investment struggled from the start. He pulled out profits instead of saving for reserves. The management company sent reports, he just ignored them. Worst of all, he stopped payments right when he booked the Hawaii trip. It's like robbing Peter to pay Paul, my advisor said plainly. And you're Peter. A cold clarity hit me. This wasn't just bad management. My dad chose a fancy vacation with his real family over his duty to a loan that could ruin me. That evening, I called him back, calm and ready. I checked the Madison property records, I started. How'd you get those? He cut in, alarmed. I'm a cosigner, Dad. I have rights to them. Why'd you stop payments when you booked Hawaii? That's unrelated, he blustered. Have you arranged the transfer? No, I said firmly. I haven't. What? This affects your credit too, Maria. Be reasonable. I am reasonable, I replied. I've talked to advisors and lawyers to find the best path, which is, he demanded. I'll tell you tomorrow, I said. I need one more day to finalize. This isn't a game, he snapped. This is serious. Yes, I agreed, just like my wedding was serious to me. I hung up before he could answer, turning to Noah, who held my hand through the call. Are you sure? Noah asked softly. Absolutely, I said, nodding. For once, I'll treat my parents the way they've treated me. The next 24 hours were a whirlwind. I met my lawyer to clarify my legal duties and options on the loan. I talked to a credit repair expert about protecting my credit score. I checked with a real estate agent to compare the Madison property's true value against my dad's claims. What I learned shocked me. Despite their wealthy image, my parents were stretched thin. The Madison property was one of many failing investments. They'd taken a second mortgage to help Julia buy her house. They paid heavily for my niece and nephew's private school and activities, plus kept pricey memberships at 2 elite clubs. They were living beyond their means, faking financial success. The Hawaii trip? Charged to a maxed-out credit card. My dad's law firm, though prestigious, was losing clients to younger firms. My mom cut her hospital admin hours but not her spending. They weren't bankrupt, but far from secure. And they expected me, the daughter they ignored, to save them. With a clear plan, I called my dad 24 hours later. Finally, he answered. "Got the money ready?" "No," I said calmly. "Maria, this isn't time for petty revenge over your wedding," he snapped. "This is a financial crisis." "Don't bother me with trivial matters," I said, echoing my mom's dismissive tone about my wedding. "What did you say?" he stammered, stunned. "Trivial matters," I repeated. "Like loan payments or foreclosures. They're nothing compared to life's big moments, right?" "Outrageous," he shouted. "We raised you better. We gave you everything." "Everything but your presence at my wedding," I shot back. "Or respect for my career. Or unconditional love." "That's unfair," he argued. "We supported you when it suited us, when it fit our vision, when it didn't clash with Julia's events or vacations. But when I needed you at my wedding, you picked Hawaii." "That's different," he insisted. "Is it? You called my wedding trivial. I'm calling your financial mess trivial too. We'll lose the property," he warned. "Your credit will tank." "I've spoken to the bank," I said. "As a cosigner, not the main borrower, I've made a deal to protect myself without paying $40,000. "What deal?" he demanded. "Not your concern," I replied. "Just like my wedding wasn't yours." "You can't do this," he said, fear creeping into his voice. "Your mom will be crushed." "I bet," I said. Like I was crushed seeing your Hawaii photos on my wedding day. But I didn't deserve that hurt. You made reckless choices while treating me like an afterthought. "We're your parents," he said, as if that erased everything. "Yes," I agreed. "And for 30 years, I've tried to earn your love. I'm done. I'll shield myself from your mistakes and stop accepting being valued less than Julia or a beach trip." "You'll regret this," he warned. "When you calm down, you'll see family comes first." "I agree," I said. "Family should come first. Remember that next time you choose a luau over your daughter's wedding." I hung up and sat in the quiet of my living room. Noah, beside me the whole time, hugged me tightly. "How do you feel?" he asked gently. "Lighter," I said, realizing it. "Like I've dropped a weight I've carried forever." That weight was my endless quest for their approval, the hope they'd value me like Julia. Letting it go was scary but freeing. My deal with the bank was simple. I wouldn't pay to fix the missed payments. Instead, I negotiated to remove my name from the loan, trading my share of any future inheritance. The bank resisted at first, but my lawyer pushed, and my strong business credit helped. My dad would face his financial mess without me as a fallback. The property might foreclose unless he found funds elsewhere. My credit would suffer, but with proper records and my proactive steps, the experts said I could fix most of the damage in a year. I finally stood up for myself in a way my parents couldn't brush off. I chose to value myself when they wouldn't. The backlash came fast. Within a day of my call with my dad, my phone lit up with messages from relatives. My parents had quickly spread their side of the story. My Aunt Sophia, mom's sister, texted, scolding me for abandoning family in their time of need. My cousin Robert, always tight with Julia, left a voicemail calling me childish and spiteful. Even my usually neutral grandma called, asking if I'd really refused to help my poor dad with a small financial hiccup. No one mentioned my wedding. No one noted that my parents chose a vacation over my big day. In their story, I was the ungrateful daughter betraying family over petty grudges. 3 days later, Julia called. I almost didn't answer but decided to hear her out. "You need to fix this," she said bluntly. "Dad's a wreck, and Mom won't stop crying." "Nice to hear from you too, Julia," I said calmly. "How was Hawaii?" "Is this about them missing your wedding?" she snapped. "Grow up, Maria. The world doesn't revolve around you." The irony stung, coming from the sister who'd been our family's star for 30 years. "This is about boundaries," I said. "Dad's choices risked my credit and future without asking me." Then he expected me to bail him out, right after showing how little my life matters to you all. "We planned that trip months ahead," she argued. "My kids had activities. My hospital schedule's tight." "Yet you all made Hawaii work perfectly," I said. "Just not my wedding." "That's different," she insisted. "It is," I agreed. "One was a vacation. The other was your sister's wedding. Your problem, Maria, is jealousy of my success, my family, my bond with Mom and Dad. This is just you craving attention." "I don't want their attention anymore," I said. "I want basic respect, which seems too much to ask." "Did you know Dad skipped loan payments with my name on them to fund your Hawaii trip?" "That's not true," she said, less sure. "Check the bank statements," I urged. "See when the payments stopped and when Hawaii was booked." Silence followed. "Look," I said softer, "I'm not jealous. I chose a path that makes me happy. I just wanted them to respect it and show up for me like they do for you." "Is that so much?" "I have to go," she said quickly. "Kids need dinner. We'll talk later." We didn't. Julia went quiet, avoiding conflict as always unless it served her. Noah was my anchor through the drama. He never pushed me to make peace or give in. Instead, he helped me save every email, text, and financial record to prove what happened. When I feared I was too harsh, he reminded me of the years I took their dismissals. "You're not cutting them off," he said. "You're asking for the respect you give. That's healthy." Surprisingly, some family backed me once they heard my side. Aunt Karen, who walked me down the aisle, called to say she was proud I stood up. "Your mom always favored Julia," she said. "I love her, but she's wronged you." It's time someone said it. My cousin Danielle, who'd long avoided family events, texted, "Welcome to the other side. It's lonely but healthier. Call me if you need someone who gets it." Even Uncle Peter, my dad's reserved brother, emailed that he admired my independence, though he stayed neutral. These allies balanced the relatives pushing me to forgive for family harmony. They showed me standing up wasn't selfish, it was necessary. Meanwhile, I poured myself into my business and marriage. My photography studio grew, adding a third photographer and a bigger space with a gallery for our work. Noah got promoted to lead teacher, creating a groundbreaking arts curriculum his principal called revolutionary. We redid our apartment, making it truly ours. We took weekend trips and planned a big Europe adventure for next summer. We built friendships with couples who cheered our wins without rivalry. Our home became the loving space I never had growing up, celebrating all achievements, supporting setbacks, and offering unconditional love. 6 months after facing my dad, I got a bank letter confirming my name was off the Madison loan. No foreclosure happened. My dad somehow paid up, likely borrowing or selling assets to avoid the shame. He never told me how. My credit was climbing back, thanks to the specialist's help and my solid financial history. Full recovery would take a year, but the worst was over. Emotionally, I was healing too. My therapist, started post-wedding, helped me process the grief of losing my birth family while building my chosen one. She showed me my parents' failure to value me was their flaw, not mine. You can't force someone to love you as you need, she said in a powerful session. But you can stop settling for less. It hurt, but it was vital. For the first time, I defined my worth by my own standards, not their narrow view of success. A year after our wedding, Noah surprised me with an anniversary getaway to a coastal bed and breakfast, perfect for my ocean photography passion. The innkeeper set up our room with champagne and flowers. Noah planned a private beach dinner at sunset. Toasting our first year, I saw how much I'd changed. Not just our growing business or home upgrades, but inside. I was calmer, surer, free from proving myself. "What's on your mind?" Noah asked, seeing my quiet mood. "I feel different from last year," I said. "Like I've stopped running." Running? Chasing approval that was never coming, no matter how hard I tried. He squeezed my hand. "You were always enough. I'm glad you see it now." My parents and I found a new rhythm. After months of anger or silence, my mom emailed neutrally about Christmas plans. I told my mom we'd spend Christmas with Noah's family, polite but firm. Since then, we've kept what my therapist calls civil distance, short emails or calls about safe topics like weather or news. No talk of my business wins or their money troubles. No mention of Julia or her family. It's surface level but works. I've accepted this is probably all we'll ever have. My parents are too fixed in their ways to change, and I won't twist myself to fit their mold anymore. The gap between us is the result of 30 years of their conditional love meeting my first real boundary. Surprisingly, accepting this brought me peace. The ache for their approval is gone, replaced by quiet confidence in my own value. I still feel twinges of sadness for what could have been, but they don't consume me. My photography business is booming, known for capturing real moments, not staged shots. A top wedding magazine featured my work in its spring issue, praising my emotionally honest style. The feature drew new clients, letting me raise rates and pick my projects. Noah and I started talking about kids, a mix of thrill and fear. I worried I'd pass on the conditional love I grew up with. "You're not your mom," my therapist said when I shared this. "You see the patterns. That awareness protects you." She was right. My fear of repeating their mistakes meant I wouldn't do it blindly. Noah and I are building our life on acceptance, not expectations or comparisons. In March, my Uncle Jack died suddenly of a heart attack. His funeral was the first time I'd see my parents and Julia since our lone fight. I almost skipped it, but Jack always showed up for me. I owed him this. Noah and I flew to Chicago, staying in a hotel to keep some emotional space. The funeral was packed, proof of Jack's impact. My parents arrived late, looking older than I remembered. My dad's hair was fully gray, Mom seemed thinner. They gave me a stiff nod but kept their distance. Julia and her family sat up front, Noah and I sat back with Aunt Karen. At the reception at Karen's house, I was setting out food when Mom walked in. We stood awkwardly until she spoke. "Your photography business is doing well," she said. "I saw the magazine feature." I was shocked she knew. "Yeah, it's been a great year." "We're selling the house," she said, fidgeting with a cookie tray. "Too big for just us now." "I'm sorry," I said, unsure what she wanted. "We found a smaller condo near Julia's family," she added. I nodded, seeing the money issues behind it but staying quiet. "The Madison property sold last month," she said. "Not for what your dad hoped, but it cleared the loan." "Glad it worked out," I said honestly. I didn't want their ruin, just my own boundaries. Silence fell, heavy with unsaid words. Then Mom straightened up, decisive. "We may have misjudged your wedding," she said carefully. "We regret missing it." It wasn't quite an apology, but from her, it was big. "Thanks for saying that," I replied. "It means something." Another pause. "Noah seems like a good man," she said. "The best," I said. "He makes me happy." She nodded, grabbed the cookie tray, and left for the guests. It was a brief talk, just 5 minutes, but it cracked the wall between us. Not full reconciliation, but a start toward something realer. 2 months later, I found out I was pregnant. Noah spun me around our living room when I showed him the test, overjoyed. We waited until after the first trimester to share the news. With Noah's parents, we told them over dinner, sparking happy tears and offers of baby gear. For my parents, I chose a phone call, expecting a flat response. To my surprise, Mom gasped with what sounded like real joy. "A baby, Maria! That's wonderful. When's the due date?" "December 15th, I said, just before Christmas." "Your first Christmas as parents," she said, wistful. "It'll be magical." We talked for 30 minutes, our longest chat in over a year. She asked about my health, prenatal care, and even how I felt about motherhood, really listening for once. As we wrapped up, she hesitated. "Your dad and I want to visit after the baby's born, if you and Noah are okay with it." Her request stirred a whirlwind of emotions inside me, hope flickering like a distant light, mingled with a deep-seated fear that clawed at my chest. The image of my parents cradling my child played out in my mind, their hands, once so distant and judgmental, now holding something so precious and vulnerable. It felt touching, a potential bridge to healing, yet terrifying, like inviting old wounds to reopen in the most intimate space of my life. What if their conditional love extended to my baby? What if history repeated itself in subtle ways I couldn't control? I paused on the phone, my free hand instinctively resting on my growing belly, feeling the gentle kicks that reminded me of the new life I was nurturing. "Let's plan that after the baby comes," I said cautiously, my voice steady but my heart racing. I don't know what those first weeks will be like. It could be chaotic, overwhelming. "Of course," she replied without hesitation, her tone softer than I'd heard in years. "Just tell us when you're ready. We can wait. We can wait." Those 3 simple words echoed in my mind long after I hung up, hitting me with the force of a revelation. Had my parents ever uttered anything like that before? In all my 29 years, had they once put my needs ahead of theirs? Growing up, it was always me adjusting, swallowing my dreams to fit their mold, biting my tongue during family dinners where Julia's achievements shone like spotlights while mine flickered in the shadows. They demanded I accommodate their schedules, their expectations, their vision of success. But now, this small concession felt like a crack in the armor they'd worn for decades. It was small, almost insignificant in the grand scheme, but it hinted at a shift in our dynamic. Maybe the arrival of a grandchild was softening edges that had been sharp for too long. Or perhaps my boundaries, finally enforced, were forcing them to see me not as the disappointing afterthought, but as an adult with her own life, her own rules. Whatever the reason, it planted a seed of cautious optimism in me, even as I guarded my heart against disappointment. As my pregnancy progressed, the days blurred into a rhythm of doctor's appointments, nesting instincts, and quiet introspection. I found myself reflecting deeply on my childhood, the good, the bad, the moments that shaped who I am. Mornings often found me in our sunlit living room, sipping herbal tea, staring out at the Boston skyline while memories flooded back. The white picket fence of our family home, so perfect from the outside, hiding the hierarchy within. Julia's triumphs celebrated with fanfare, mine met with indifference. I wanted something different for my child, a home where love wasn't a prize to be won, but a constant, unwavering presence. I journaled a lot during those months, my notebook becoming a sanctuary for thoughts I hadn't fully unpacked before. I'd sit on our balcony in the evenings, pen in hand, digging into memories with an intensity that sometimes surprised even me. One entry recounted a childhood birthday where my parents forgot to buy a cake because Julia had a recital that day. Another explored the sting of overhearing my mom dismiss my photography passion as just a phase. These reflections weren't just cathartic, they were blueprints for the parent I aspired to be, one who listened, celebrated individuality, and never made love feel like a transaction. My therapist played a crucial role in this process, guiding me through sessions that felt like unraveling a tangled knot. She helped me sort through the patterns I was determined to break, the favoritism, the conditional praise, and the values I wanted to carry forward, like resilience and creativity. We spent hours separating legitimate fears, like unintentionally repeating emotional distance, from catastrophic thinking that amplified every what if. "You're already ahead," she'd say with a reassuring smile. "Awareness is your strongest tool." In my 7th month, as my belly swelled and the baby's movements became stronger reminders of the life within, I poured my heart into one particular journal entry. It came after a restless night, the words flowing like a vow to myself and my unborn child. I used to think love was earned through success or obedience. That belief shaped my life until Noah showed me love as being seen and accepted as you are. My child won't have to earn my love. They'll have it from their first breath, no matter their choices or path. They'll know I'll always love them, even if I don't always understand. That's my promise and my healing. Reading it back, tears blurred the ink, but it solidified my resolve. This baby would know unconditional love from day one. The final weeks of pregnancy were a mix of anticipation and discomfort, swollen feet, endless trips to the bathroom, and nesting urges that had me reorganizing every drawer in the house. Noah was my constant support, rubbing my back during late-night cramps and whispering encouragements as we prepared the nursery. We painted the walls a soft blue, hung mobiles of stars and moons, and stacked shelves with books we'd read together. It felt like we were building not just a room, but a foundation for our family. When our daughter Lily was born on a crisp December morning, everything shifted in an instant. The labor was long and exhausting, hours of pushing through pain that tested my limits, but the moment the doctor placed her in my arms, tiny, perfect, with a tuft of dark hair and eyes that seemed to hold the world's secrets, love hit me like nothing before. It was instant, unconditional, and overwhelming, a tidal wave that washed away any doubts. Her cry filled the room, and in that sound, I heard the beginning of our new chapter. I'd do anything to protect and nurture Lily, this miracle born from our love, her little fingers wrapping around mine as if to say, I'm here, and I'm yours. Noah was a natural dad from the start, his face lighting up as he held her with gentle confidence, cooing softly while she nestled against his chest. Watching him, my heart swelled with gratitude for the partner who had helped me rewrite my story. His parents visited the hospital that first day, bursting through the door with arms full of gifts. They brought tiny handmade booties, knitted with care by Noah's mom, and their eyes brimmed with joyful tears as they met their granddaughter. She's beautiful, his dad said, voice thick with emotion, while his mom gently touched Lily's cheek, whispering blessings for her future. Their warmth enveloped us, a reminder of the supportive family we'd built. Aunt Karen and cousin Danielle arrived the next day, their visit a practical lifeline amid the haze of new parenthood. They came loaded with gifts, diapers, onesies, and meal prep kits, and offers of help that felt like a hug. Karen, who had walked me down the aisle, held Lily with the same steady reassurance, sharing stories of her own motherhood journey. Danielle, ever the empathetic one, listened as I vented about sleepless nights, her presence a quiet anchor. My parents waited, as they'd promised, giving us space to settle. 2 weeks after Lily's birth, when we'd found a semblance of routine, naps, feedings, and the endless cycle of diaper changes, I felt ready. My hands trembled slightly as I dialed, but I invited them to meet their granddaughter, hoping this could be a turning point. They arrived on a snowy afternoon, knocking softly as if aware of the fragile peace. To my surprise, they brought thoughtful gifts that showed real effort, a handcrafted wooden music box that played a soothing lullaby, a stack of classic children's books with worn edges from my mom's own collection, and a tiny silver bracelet she explained had been hers as a baby. It should stay in the family, she said, her voice catching slightly as she handed me the velvet box, for your daughter now. It was more than objects, it was a gesture, a thread connecting generations. Seeing my dad cradle Lily with rare tenderness caught me off guard. His usual stiff demeanor, the one that had loomed over my childhood like a stern judge, melted away completely. He held her close, his large hands careful and protective, gently rocking her as he murmured nonsense words when she fussed, a soft shusha that sounded foreign coming from him. In that moment, I glimpsed a vulnerability I'd never seen, a grandfather emerging from the shell of the critical father. She has your eyes, my mom observed, hovering nearby with a tentative smile, her gaze shifting between Lily and me. Same shape, same spark. Noah says she's got my stubborn chin too, I replied, managing a light smile despite the swirl of emotions. That'll serve her well, my dad said unexpectedly, his voice gruff but warm. Determination's a good trait, gets you through tough times. His words stopped me cold. It was perhaps the first time he had ever framed my stubbornness as a positive quality, rather than a character flaw to be corrected or criticized. Growing up, he'd called it defiance, a barrier to fitting into his perfect family mold. But now, here in this quiet room with Lily as our witness, it felt like an olive branch. Our eyes met over her tiny head, and I saw something new there, not quite approval, but recognition. An acknowledgement of who I was, independent, resilient, rather than disappointment in who I was not. It wasn't a full embrace, but it was progress, a small step toward seeing me as an equal. Our relationship remained complex and sometimes strained, like a tapestry with frayed edges that we were slowly mending. Old patterns didn't disappear overnight, the occasional judgmental comment, the subtle favoritism toward Julia still surfaced in conversations. There were moments of tension, like when Mom suggested a proper christening that clashed with our simple plans, or misunderstandings over holiday visits. But Lily created a bridge between us, a common ground of pure, transcendent love that softened the sharp edges of past hurts. She became the neutral territory where we could meet without the weight of old grievances. From the beginning, I set clear boundaries about their involvement, making it non-negotiable that while they were welcome in Lily's life, Noah and I would make all parenting decisions. No unsolicited advice on feeding schedules, no pushing for traditions that didn't align with our values. To my surprise, they largely respected these boundaries, nodding in agreement during that first visit and following through in the months that followed. Perhaps they understood, on some level, that their access to their granddaughter depended on respecting her parents, us. It was a new dynamic, one where I held the power, and it felt empowering rather than vindictive. 2 years have passed since that heated confrontation over the loan, a moment that feels both distant and pivotal in my journey. My photography business continues to thrive, evolving from a solo passion into a bustling studio with a team of talented assistants. We've captured countless weddings, each one a reminder of the authentic moments I cherish, and our reputation for emotional depth has led to features in more magazines and collaborations with high-profile clients. It's not just a job anymore, it's a legacy I'm building, one frame at a time. My marriage to Noah grows stronger each day, deepened by the shared adventures of parenthood and the quiet evenings where we reflect on how far we've come. Lily, now a curious toddler with her dark curls and infectious laugh, fills our home with joy and wonder. Her first steps, her bubbling words, her endless questions, they're the soundtrack to our days, turning ordinary moments into magic. Watching her explore the world reminds me daily of the freedom I fought for, the unconditional love I vowed to give. My relationship with my parents is neither perfect nor completely healed, but it's more honest than it has ever been. We exchange regular calls now, sharing updates on Lily's milestones without delving into old wounds. They've visited a handful of times, always on our terms, and while tensions simmer beneath the surface, there's a mutual respect that's taken root. Dad even complimented one of my recent photo exhibits during a call, a small victory that felt monumental. I no longer seek their approval or measure my worth through their eyes, a shift that has liberated me in ways I never imagined. I've built a life defined by love rather than achievement, by deep connections rather than cutthroat competition. It turns out that standing up for yourself isn't just about that one fiery confrontation, it's about the life you create afterward, brick by brick, on your own terms and according to your own values. It's choosing fulfillment over fitting in, happiness over hierarchy. If my story teaches anything, it is that your worth is inherent, not something to be earned through endless striving or sacrifices. You don't have to prove yourself to anyone, you are enough as you are. Healthy relationships thrive on mutual respect, not one-sided accommodation where one person bends until they break. And sometimes, the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to say no, to draw that line in the sand with those who cannot or will not see your true value, even if they're family. Trivial events like weddings and loan payments, as everyday as they might seem on the surface, often reveal the most profound truths about who truly matters in our lives and how we should demand to be treated. They strip away the facades, exposing the priorities and loyalties that define our closest bonds. In my case, a skipped ceremony and a financial betrayal became the catalysts for reclaiming my voice and reshaping my world. Have you ever had to set boundaries with family members who didn't value you or your choices? Maybe it was a parent dismissing your career path, a sibling taking credit for your efforts, or relatives prioritizing their comfort over your happiness. What helped you find the courage to stand up for yourself? Was it a supportive partner like Noah, a therapist's guidance, or that inner fire that finally ignited after years of simmering? Drop your experiences in the comments below, I'd love to hear them and connect over shared stories. And if my journey resonated with you, if it sparked a light in your own path, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need this reminder today. Everyone deserves respect and unconditional love, no exceptions. Thanks for watching and being part of this conversation. Remember, sometimes the family we create, through choice and heart, nurtures us far more deeply than the one we're born into.